Welcome all to this video. In this video, we will discuss the process of ovulation and the hormones responsible for the ovulation. So what is this exactly the ovulation is? Ovulation is the release of secondary oocyte stage from the mature graphene follicle, and this takes place roughly at the end of the follicular phase. So in human, we can say in human female, if the ovarian cycle is around 28 days, so this occurs at about 14th day of the ovarian cycle. First 13 days are the follicular phase, wherein the different follicles they develop and produce estrogens. And the release of the secondary oocyte from the graphene follicle is at or about 14th day of the cycle. So if we see the structure of the graphene follicle is surrounded outermost by the theca externa cell, which is made up of connective tissue. Then inner to that is theca interna, and inner to that is a layer of membrana granulosa cell, which is multi-layer roughly. Because it has some granules in it, it is known as membrana granulosa. To one side of this is attached a secondary oocyte, well-developed secondary oocyte having a ooplasm and a conspicuous nucleus with nucleolus and different organelle. And the attachment is known as cumulus oophorus. And outer to this secondary oocyte is a zona pellucida layer, which is more or less transparent layer, and then the layer of membrana granulosa. Here they are known as corona radiata because of the presence of or the appearance of radial structure, which are the feeding canals from the membrana granulosa cell to the secondary oocyte, and a very conspicuous fluid filled cavity is there, which is known as antrum. And the release of this secondary oocyte along with the corona radiata layer from this mature graphene follicle is the ovulation. And this is the picture of the released structure. The released structure is actually the secondary oocyte, very conspicuous cell surrounded by the vitelline membrane, which is actually the plasma membrane. Inside is the ooplasm, which is the cytoplasm, and a very conspicuous nucleus with nucleolus and all the membrane and all the cell organelles. And the outer to this is present the zona pellucida layer, which is a transparent layer, and then a layer of corona radiata. So this is the released structure actually, which is around 0.1 mm in diameter in human. And this release of this structure from the graphene oocyte, graphene follicle, is under the influence of the hormone luteinizing hormone, which is released by the anterior pituitary cells called luteotroph cells. In some of the mammals like rabbit, cat and mink, this ovulation or this release is induced release. It is induced by mating, and the mating sends the reflexive stimulation to the pituitary, anterior pituitary particularly, to release the luteinizing hormone. Under the luteinizing influence, ovulation occurs. So ovulation occurs after mating or after the stimulus of mating. That's why it is known as induced ovulation. And in the mammals like rabbit, cat and mink, they have this induced ovulation. Now we talk about the hormones in ovulation. So the main hormone, as I already told you, is the luteinizing hormone, commonly known as LH. This LH, we can see from the graph, the peak of LH is at about 14th day of the ovarian cycle in human females. When the developing follicles, they release estrogen and the level of estrogen is high, it increases. This increase in estrogenic level sends positive feedback to the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus releases the factor luteinizing hormone releasing hormone, which is a protein factor. This factor stimulates the anterior pituitary cells, particularly the luteotrophs, to release the luteinizing hormone. And the luteinizing hormone stimulates the release of secondary oocyte from the graphene follicle. So the main hormone is the luteinizing hormone and the factor from the hypothalamus, which is known as LHRH factor. So here is just the flow diagram of the everything. The hypothalamic, the hypophyseal and the gonadal axis. So from the hypothalamus, luteinizing hormone releasing hormone is released, which acts on luteotroph cells of the anterior pituitary. They release the luteinizing hormone, and the luteinizing hormone influence the ovulation from the Graafian follicle stage. So that's all in this video. If you like this video, kindly share this video and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.